CNN's Chris Moody. He is a senior reporter for CNN, covers politics and the elections, and he is on the road today, as I expect you will be for the next couple of years, Chris Moody, so get used to it. But today you draw Louisville instead of Des Moines or something. Hey, Chris.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
So what's it like down there in Louisville? Talk to me about the crowd that you see assembling for Rand Paul's announcement. What time is the announcement, by the way?
The announcement doesn't happen for another 4 hours.
Oh, all right.
So the crowd hasn't assembled, but it's a rainy day here in Louisville. He's chosen a hotel called the Gulf House. Now, it sounds a lot like an Ayn Rand novel, but it has nothing to do with that. But it's an old hotel where actually several presidents have visited in the past. It's a very carefully chosen place.
And I ask you about the crowd, and maybe you can tell us, considering the fact, Chris Moody, I think you've attended some other events that Rand Paul has done. What are you expecting? Because one of the things that people are excited about with Rand Paul is that he does sort of reach out to not your typical Republican audience.
And that's one of the big draws for him. He, because of his father laying the groundwork, touring colleges across the country since about 2006 for his presidential campaign. He has a very young follower base that he kind of inherits from his father. The question is, how much of them can he keep them as he tries to seek the right as well? But no, you're exactly right. As far as several policy issues on drug reform or prison reform, these are things that speak to a lot of young people, and Rand Paul is a person who is out there and not really scared to take those on, whereas a lot of other Republicans might not necessarily want to make their campaigns about that. So he has an opportunity to reach new constituencies. The question is, can he articulate himself well enough in order to make it happen? We saw a poll in February showing that he's going head-to-head with Hillary Clinton in two key states, key swing states, Colorado and Virginia. The question is, he's got the name ID, that's clear, but can he keep it together for several months?
You know, Chris, presidential politics has obviously been evolving at a rapid rate. You know, we've got billion-dollar presidential campaigns now, but I think even the announcements have been evolving. Senator Cruz, I think, reset the bar with his announcement. We saw in just a couple days after the announcement a phenomenal $4 million fundraising haul, explosive growth in his email list. You know, is that really going to now lay the groundwork for all of these future announcements you're at, and does it set up a potential disappointment for some of these guys and women?
You know, I think it's very interesting because there was a style just in the past couple of cycles to do a low-key announcement. Do you remember some candidates would merely announce by posting a link on Twitter and maybe having that link to a video online, it being almost all digital? But that seems to be the way of, at least not in fashion right now. Ted Cruz showed that he could make a big spectacle. It helped that 10,000 students were mandated to go to his event. But no, if you look at Rand Paul doing this event at this old historic hotel, and then there's the possibility of Marco Rubio in Florida holding his announcement at the Freedom Tower in Miami, which is a very important place to a lot of people, especially legal immigrants who came in and did their naturalization and citizenship ceremonies there. A lot of Cuban exiles were processed through there. It's basically the Ellis Island of the South. These are places that mean something, and they also are beautiful as well, and it shows that these candidates are looking to make a big media and public splash. But we still don't know necessarily how Hillary Clinton plans to do it, but at least for the first couple of announcements, these are very large spectacles, and as we saw with Ted Cruz, it helped him raise quite a bit of money.
Chris Moody is our guest senior reporter for CNN, and he's down in Louisville preparing for Rand Paul's announcement for presidency, which should happen in about 4 hours, Chris tells us. You mentioned Hillary Clinton, and that strikes me about Rand Paul is that for months now, he has been focusing most of his rhetoric on Hillary Clinton. Unlike his counterparts, Ted Cruz, he was talking about Obama a lot in his announcement for presidency, and he's been focusing on Obama, but no one's running against Barack Obama. Rand Paul has been really focused on Hillary, hasn't he?
You know, I was in Iowa with Rand Paul in summer of 2013. I mean, this thing started a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. People were already going to Iowa. And very early on, you were exactly right. He has been taking a point in almost every speech to mention Hillary Clinton. Even if, she wasn't in the news at the time or people were talking about her, Rand Paul always had her on the radar. And I think that's what really signaled to a lot of us reporters way back, the day after the election in 2012 that Rand Paul was in this thing for the long haul.
Yeah, Chris, we're hearing a lot of talk about these lanes. I think we have this tendency as, analysts to try to categorize things, the Tea Party, the social conservatives, the libertarians. I don't necessarily think there are these defined lanes. We've seen candidates like Walker, Cruz, and Paul who have a lot of support amongst what you would consider Tea Party, libertarians. Are those? Is there anything to that, or is there? Is that just the human being's way of trying to categorize the uncategorizable, so to say?
A lot of these candidates can walk and chew gum at the same time a lot better than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
We'll say, Scott Walker is good on economics, and Ted Cruz has the social conservatives or Rick Santorum. But, you're right. I think we should give them a little bit more credit. With Rand Paul, I have seen him reaching out to social conservatives, speaking at social conservative events, and sending a message and saying, look, I know you think of me as the liberty guy, right? And you think of maybe drug legalization and all these wacky things. But my belief system fits in with yours, and here's why. And he makes the case very strongly, and I've seen him received really well. Where he's going to have trouble is with the foreign policy hawks of the old guard of the Republican Party. There's already a group that has the scary name, the Foundation for a Secure and Prosperous America, which is run by the same guy who did the Swift vote.
What's scary about a secure and prosperous America, Chris Moody?
Oh, I didn't mean scary. Forgive me. It's the name of this group that you don't know who it is.
Yes, I get you.
It's one of those big names. Anyway, they have launched a $1 million broadside against Rand Paul already that the New York Times reported out today. Look, Rand Paul has a two-front war he's going to be fighting here. It's not just with the Democratic Party, not just with Hillary Clinton, but there is a well-heeled and strong group on the right that's coming after him.
Let me ask you, Chris Moody, a lot of people, I included, but I hate it when journalists and interviewers do that. Many people are saying, so to heck with that. I'm saying that part of the problem with Rand Paul is, frankly, his dad, Ron Paul. How prominent will Papa be at the announcement today? Will he be there front and center, or is this Rand Paul's time to emerge as his own man?
The elder Dr. Paul is here in Louisville for the event, but all indications show that he's not going to be playing much of a public role in the campaign. I would imagine he's going to be talking to liberty activists behind the scenes a lot more, trying to help his son out. He's not going to sit out completely, but he's not going to be on the stage a lot. And this is something that's very interesting, the differences between Rand and Ron Paul. They're not the same man, of course, but he certainly cut his teeth. He comes from cut from the same cloth. There's a cliche I was looking for of his father. But he has separated himself in many ways and had to make a tough, calculated decision when doing so. Can he or does he burn the liberty folks that his father nurtured and brought along into politics over the past several years, or does he reach out more to the center? And that is a fine line that I think is going to be one of the most interesting stories of the 2016 cycle.
Chris Moody, we got to leave it there. Senior reporter at CNN. I suspect we'll be hearing a lot from him during the presidential campaign, and he's one of those guys they send on the road there.